Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. To my left or to your right, whichever way you're watching it, we have got the wonderful Matt.
Yeah, watch it in a mirror. It looks better probably that way, man. Yeah. Hello, Dan. How are you?
I'm very well, how are you?
Good. Yeah, not too bad. Not too bad. Busy weekend. Busy week coming up.
Yeah, 3 games, boxing. I mean, any man, you'd be like looking forward to this next week.
Yeah, absolutely. It's Nottingham's full of fun, isn't it? This week, hopefully.
Yeah, first got well. I'm not doing well. First got 2 really big league games coming up this next week. Starting with Reading tomorrow. I mean, all that going to be about Liverpool, didn't they? Shadow that, but obviously, first I got 2 really important games in. Starting with Reading, that I mean, if we win against Reading, I mean, it will keep us up there with Wednesday's game in mind.
Absolutely, it's the classic cliche, isn't it? One game at a time. The Reading game's probably the most, well, it's kind of the most important, isn't it? Because we've got to get those 3 points. If we don't, that would be tragic. So get those 3 points in the bag. QPR is more of a competitive game, hopefully, and equally important, if not more important, to knock one of our rivals down a peg at the same time. And then obviously the glamour one at the end, which is the one we're all kind of trying to not think about at the moment, which is going to be the spectacle, isn't it? And we've got the boxing as an hors d'oeuvre with Lee Wood. So it's a great week in Nottingham.
Hopefully tomorrow, the best scenario, Lee would win and false win.
Absolutely. Well, it should work like that. I thought that from the day the fixtures and the fight were announced. Actually, I met Lee before Christmas, and he's very confident. I'm sure he's probably more confident now. So, whatever you might think as far as the sort of on paper and everything like that, I think he's a champion now, and he's thinking like a champion. So, I think he'll do the business, and I think Forest will at the weekend. So, hopefully, that'll get things off on the right foot, and you never know where it might lead us towards the end of the week.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's been regarded as a must-win tomorrow by quite a lot of Forest fans. I mean, it's that cliche saying you got to win your own games, but tomorrow seemed to be more of a must-win, knowing that. I mean, Reading are fighting for their lives, but I mean, League Table don't lie with what happened this season.
No, I mean, it's one of those classic banana skins, though, isn't it? It's one of those, it's the classic scenario. I'm sure Cooper's, he's not stupid. He's going to be sort of saying all the right things, but still, it's hard to, these things. Sometimes you slip on those bananas, don't you? But they just really, really must not, because these are really pivotal, seminal games that occur not every year. So these 3 fixtures are massive, and the Liverpool one. Okay, that's going to be the perhaps a bridge too far and all that kind of stuff. But still, it's going to be a memorable game, whatever happens, I think. But the 2 before, we've got to just do the business because that's going to have a huge bearing on what happens for the rest of the season. And, like you say, Reading should be, you'd like to think of formality relatively, although they're fighting for their lives. And QPR, you're going to be taking a few points off one of your rivals if you can do it. So it's a big week.
Yeah, I mean, with like the players that are coming back, I mean, we still missed one, but all the players that have came back from their late coming back from injury and that. I mean, we are set it up to be quite a good end to the season. I mean, 12 games left.
Yeah, we haven't had, we've had our sort of suspension problems. We've had our injury problems to some extent, which you're always going to get. But the team's in good shape, really. And the squad's looking encouraging, especially up front, like you say, which is unusual for us, but is obviously important when it comes to playoffs, where it's all about, or towards the end of the season, where it's all about winning the odd game and you need to have options up front. We've got like the likes of Lolly and Myton come back, as well as the strikers you just mentioned and the signings we've made. Surridge and Davis have been very potent, look, you know, a handful for anyone. So it's really encouraging. It's all the right signs for a team that's going to be pushing into the playoffs and making an impact when they do. So, you know, let's not talk too soon. It can all change. But you're thinking Graben's coming back and he's not going to get picked automatically. And, you know, that was unforeseeable, wasn't it? When he got injured, it was like, you know, we all getting our handkerchiefs out and thinking it's the end of our season and end of the push. But if anything, it's got better. The team has sort of found a different way to play, and we've been scoring goals for fun, which, you know, you couldn't have really predicted.
I mean, it's nice to see it because obviously Davies scored 3 goals. It's nice he's still scoring in the week. Should have 2 goals to be fair, but that's another matter for the Lions.
Yeah. Well, they always take a goal or 2 off us, don't they? But
Yates, he seemed to find some form as well, scoring quite a few goals recently. So everyone seems to be getting into the goal scoring mood and that form as well, which is nice.
Well, Yates, he went for like 2 years with the ball going off every bump on his head, apart from the right one, and now he's looking like he can head the ball. And I was watching the game, and it was funny because actually Cooper stood right at the far left-hand corner of his box, and I actually commented. I said, "Look at him looking at this corner. I wonder what he's looking at." I expect there's about 6 things that are meant to happen here, and one of which, the one I picked out was you know that Yates is going to peel off and go around the back. And lo and behold, he did it, headed the ball straight in. So it's kind of like, you know, totally to cue. But yeah, so yeah, he's definitely finding his form, and he played brilliantly. Apart from that, you know, I thought he was definitely man of the match, and the team played really well during the week. Again, it was a similar kind of performance to the previous games. It was tough, it was kind of tight, but we just kept at it, kept plugging away, wore them down and ground out the result. You know, we should have won comfortably, really. It should have been like 4-0, really.
Yeah. Should have been 3-1 if we went for the linesman.
Yeah, well, it should have been 3-1 with the linesman, and Spence had a really easy chance, didn't he? Which he should have definitely got on target. And I don't know, I think we had a couple of others which were virtually in the back of the net, and they somehow kept them out. But yeah, you know, let's not be greedy. We won. That's all that matters. So, you know, you just get through and you move on, and we got the reward that we deserved.
Definitely. I mean, it's nice that we are seemingly like playing a really, really good way now. I mean, we're showing it Friday against Sheffield United. We're showing it Monday that we are finding that sort of way of playing now under Cooper, that which we all starting to see more now, that if we have to change it up, we have to change it up, which 3 months ago we might have seen like bits there, but now we've seen that the full.
Yeah. Well, I thought for the first half of Cooper's reign so far, the forwards weren't really clicking like they could, not consistently at least. But now we're scoring goals where we're passing the ball around, going down the wings, crossing them in. We're getting goals in lots of ways, set pieces as well. We never seem to score from set pieces. You know, we only ever used to score kind of grab and poachers goals, didn't we? With like Sabri and Houghton, definitely. But now we're passing the ball around, going down the wings. And when it doesn't really work, we find another way. You know, when Spence is on fire with Johnson and stuff, you're going to run riot. And to a lesser extent, but similar thing down the left-hand side. But we still find a way to grind it out if the sort of plan A doesn't work. We've got plan B and plan C. And really, it just seems like Cooper's refining things, and you know, he's got options. He hasn't had to play all his cards, has he, recently? He hasn't had to take off the extra centre half and do anything crazy. It seems easy at the moment. I mean, you know, it can all come to a quick end if you're not careful. But he's not being stretched. We're doing it within ourselves, I think. And there's a lot of confidence, rightly, and the players are enjoying it. It's all going right at the moment.
Yeah, definitely. Which is nice, to say the least, with her. And obviously we're not used to our options yet, as she said. So, and obviously we've got players like Martin who's getting games. Obviously Lolly's that. So it's nice that we have got options to.
Well, I thought it was going to be interesting with Huddersfield what team he picked, and so to see Surridge and to see Colback rested, was ballsy, really, wasn't it? I mean, if we'd lost the game, it would you'd have said, "Why do you do that?" But actually, they played. The players that came in played well. Surridge didn't weaken us from Davis really, and Colback wasn't really missed. I mean, so it's all good. He's doing all the right things, and like we've just been talking about, we've got 3 games now in a week. Everyone's going to want to play against Liverpool, but the likes of Colback, you can't play him as much as you might like to. So he's given those guys a rest. He's given Davis a rest. He's given, on the positive side, he's given Surridge a game, and the keeper situation is one of those other things. He's given Horvath that extra game for sure, and now is he going to keep him in? So I think that's going to be an interesting one. I personally think he should bring back Samba, probably, because I think he's just a little bit better keeper. But I don't know. Maybe we'll see, won't we? But it's going to be interesting. Because I think Horvath isn't as good commanding his box as that first goal showed. I haven't actually gone and watched it back yet, but you felt nervous.
Yeah. I was going to touch up on about the goalkeeper situation and the selections for Reading. I mean, that goal against Huddersfield, I mean, it was quite hard to see for me from where I sit in Lower Brisbane. So I didn't really see it when I seen it after the game, when I seen it from where the gantry is in main stand, and I was like, keeper should have done better there. I mean,
he didn't really come, did he? I mean, Samba, sometimes you think, whoa, look at him. His confidence is maybe too much. Sometimes he goes for things that he can barely get a fingernail on. But I don't know. Usually it's better, isn't it? It's usually better the goalkeeper flying in there. He's going to get a free kick or something. Because if he doesn't, he's probably not going to save it, is he? If the guy gets his head on it, it's a goal every time. And that was, I haven't watched it back, but it felt like it was right in the heart of the defense. The middle of the box, and at that point the goalie has to be at least competing a little close, putting the guy off, but he just basically had a free header, and unless he muffs it, it's going to be a goal. And there was another occasion after that where you felt like, we're going to concede the same way. So I felt like that was a bit of a weakness. He's a good goalkeeper though as well. I mean, he hasn't let us down at all. He deserves only credit for what he's done since he's come in. But I still think personally I'd pick Samba because I just think he's better with his feet. He's more confident. He's a different character, and I think hopefully he's learned his lesson. If he hasn't, he knows there's someone who can step into his shoes without too much trouble now.
I mean, I don't know if you watched the Gary Boy Red podcast, but Colin Barrett said it on it, saying that with Horvath, saying that he's still getting to grips with the English game, with like the how we do play. So obviously he's not used to like pressing or the high tempo. So for Horvath, he's like, we are seeing them sounds like, right, okay, he's soon need to get better at it. Whereas Samba is still has his moments with the ball, but he's a lot more better at it, where Horvath's not.
Yeah, I mean, I think Cooper makes his defenders and their core as far as playing a bit of football, doesn't he? I mean, for years, again, we've seen them just passing the ball sideways, doing stuff that you and I can do most of the time. Whereas nowadays, they do kind of crazy things. They do tricks and they make runs. I mean, they can when there's 3 of them, they can. But every game, you virtually see a little sort of cameo from all of them, Cook, Worrell, or McKenna. So they play a little bit of football, and generally it's suiting them. But he asks a lot of them, and he puts the ball at risk and so forth. So it's not going to be comfortable for anyone. But overall, I think it's a massive sort of advantage to us anyway.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it is quite nice. I mean, with the other positions, central midfielder and up front, I mean, able to play because Garner and Yates they played really well. I mean, Yates was man of match on Monday for me. So would you keep Garner, Yates in there? Would you play Garner in that advanced role? Would you not play? That's the sort of nice dilemma you got. Then up front, would you play Surridge or Davis, or would you play them both and give Brennan a rest? So It's
He
nice
never rests Brennan, though, does he? Never. Yeah, exactly. You've got options. I think the only guy who's not really wouldn't be happy with the way he's playing is Sinkernagel. I think he's the only guy that really he's better than he is at the moment. He's obviously a decent footballer, but the whole season he hasn't really taken the game by the scruff of the neck like he perhaps should, and you'd have expected he did. He's had his moments. He hasn't been dreadful, but you know, in the final third, he loses the ball a lot of the time, and we don't get as much from him as we could, and as much as he would expect from himself. And personally, I feel a little bit the same about Gardner. I know he has his fans, but I think he's profligate on too many occasions, really. I mean, you know, it's part of it, isn't it? People don't like Johnson for the same thing. They say, "Oh, look at that! You know, he's just having a shot, chucking a cross in, it's miles too hard, or whatever it is, goes straight out." You know, but he's a kid, he's learning, and actually, if you look at his stats, he's up there with like peak Joe Lolly when Lolly was like God about 3 years ago, scoring all those goals and making goals at, you know, Villa Park and all that kind of stuff. So, you know, we mustn't lose perspective. For a kid who's just turned 20, doing that as good as the best player in the Championship, you know, he's up there. He's one of the best players in the Championship. The things he's doing, and he's a kid, and there's still more to come, isn't there? You know, you can say, look, he's not doing this right, he's not doing that right, but he does plenty right. So get another year, he'll be doing a little bit, you know, be learning, be doing a little bit better. Hell of a player. So, you know, it's a shame we don't get quite as much from Garner and less from Zink, because if they clicked, you know, maybe Zink's going to have one of those games where he scores 2 goals, runs a game, wins it single-handedly, because he's capable of that. Maybe it's going to count a lot in the final analysis. Maybe it's going to be Bournemouth away or something like that where he turns it on. So, you know, but personally, for the weekend, I would probably put Cole back in midfield, rest Sinkernagel, and the tricky one is QPR, really, because then do you pick your best team, whatever you think that is on the day, or do you have half an eye on Liverpool and you know you're going to, you know, you kind of have to pick your best team for that, really. I don't think you're going to put out a B team because everyone's going to want to play in that game, and you're going to end up upsetting a load of people if you don't pick them on merit. Give them a rest for that. They're not going to thank you. So the question is, do you give the Davises, the Colbacks, the Cooks possibly a rest on the QPR game? You can't afford to, can you? So personally, I'd go with what Clough used to do and play 80 games in a season as long as you give them the week off training in between. So I'd say forget the training, watch a few videos, you know, don't tire yourselves out and play 3 games this week, chaps. And that's it.
Yeah, I mean, no disrespect to Ledley King, but I know Ledley King all used to play games, say.
Yeah. I mean, you only didn't play all of them, but that's it. You make it work, don't you? With some of these players, if they're old, they're on their last legs. You have to get them on the pitch. You don't want to knacker them on the training ground, do you?
I mean, I touched on up and the backs, and because I know there's been a bit of talk of him saying that it's not been that here. It sort of reminds me of Lewis McGugan, because you get that sort of like one of the games with McGugan where he's absolutely genius, wins the game single-handedly. But other games, you can tell that it's like a passenger, like just flies by.
Yeah, and it's kind of worse because he'll nearly always lose the ball. So it's not even, you know what I mean? Someone like Davis or Savage, you give him the ball, he'll hardly ever lose it, or so that's what you've got to kind of think about. But I don't know, it's the Carvalho scenario, isn't it, as well? People used to complain, oh, he doesn't do anything, but I bet you he'd have done more given half the chance of some of these other players, in the same circumstances. So, you pays your money, you takes your choice, don't you, with these guys? And personally, I like I say, at the weekend, I'd rest Sinkernagel based on what I've seen. But maybe he's been on fire today in training, and he's smacking in free kicks and doing everything, doing a load of magic. And Cooper thinks, well, he's going to do that tomorrow. Great, pick him. But that's what the manager's paid for, and that's what he gets to see, isn't it? But from what he's done in matches, I think he should be on the bench.
Yeah. It's good, really good point that is.
Yeah, well, we've got options though now. I mean, like you say, Lolly, Mighton, the strikers that can switch out, Graben to come back. I don't know when he's going to reappear, but we haven't. Yeah, we haven't been counting the days, have we? Which is nice. So and we've got all those players that we signed, the youngsters that people forgotten about. There were debates this week, like why aren't they giving old Larea a go? I know he's not one of the youngsters, but Hader and Panzo and these kind of guys, you can't pick them. You definitely can't pick Panzo. You can't drop one of those centre halves really at the moment. There's no way, especially not McKenna, who's the guy he's most likely to replace. And Larea, okay, maybe there's a case for it. I would have picked him a week or two ago when Colback had to play left back again against Sheffield United. I'd given Larea a game then, but still, he didn't. Maybe he's not ready. Who knows? He's been on the bench a couple of times, and Hader as well. You know, he hasn't really had much of a look in. And personally, I'd be quite interested. They seem to think he's a defensive midfielder. I'd like to see him a bit more attacking. I'd like to see him switch out for Zinc on occasions when you pick one and you could give them a half each or whatever. But we'll see. It just seems strange that we spent all that money on those sort of 2 or 3 players, and we could have signed Spence in the meantime. If he's not going to play them, what's the point of having them? You know, they're ones for the future, but you know, we'll have to see, won't we?
Yeah, definitely. What's your score prediction for tomorrow?
Let's say 2-0. Let's keep. I think. What do you think?
I do think we'll win. I think it'll be one. I'm in split lines to a fair. I think part of me think we'll win comfortably, and I think we'll win 2-0. I think back in my head, I think it's gonna be one of them games where it could be like a 3-2 or 2-1, yeah. And we just either nick it or we win what we'll be holding on.
Right, okay. So like an odd goal, 1-0 or something, and not play very well. Yeah, I'm quite confident. I'm going to say 2-0. But I feel like we could put on a real show. You know, you never know. But I think 2-0 because I think we're going to be distracted. I think we'll just do enough, probably a goal in each half or something like that, and just sort of hopefully cruise through it. What would be kind of nice to do tomorrow is to get a couple of goals in the first half and then take some of the, you know, pick the best team to start the game, whatever he thinks that is, and then take off. You'd be able to afford to take off some of those guys like the Colbacks of the world, the Davises of the world, if they're picked to start with, even the Johnsons, and give some of these other guys, the Mightons and the Haders and all those kind of guys a go to sort of get them involved and give the others a bit of a rest if we can afford to, and then we can be a bit fresher for the QPR game. But you know, it's tricky, isn't it? You don't want to mess it up. But if we get a couple of goals for the good, I can't see them scoring 2 in a half against us. So I think it should be something you can afford to do.
Yeah, definitely. I do agree with that.
Yeah, if you could write the script, that's what it would be. Pick the best team, win the game in the first half, rest them in the second half. QPR, pick your best team, beat them one way or another, and then everyone's fresh still for the Liverpool game. We strangle the game, and we nick it near the end with whatever. Don't care what it is, a penalty on penalties, whatever. But we strangle the game, the defence crushes them, and we nick it. Perfect week. And Lee Wood knocks him out in the 7th round, I reckon, don't you?
Yeah, definitely. If you ever need a storyteller or someone to act to it, Matt's the guy to go to. or the viewers.
It is a story or a fairy tale, but we'll see.
Yeah, we get to that at the end of the story.
Anyway, so a busy weekend and hopefully a busy week and hopefully not a successful week.
Yeah, definitely. So I'd like to say thank you from Matt for coming on.
Thanks, Dan.
It's been a pleasure as normal.
Absolutely. I'm off to the weigh-in next, so I'll see what's go and see Eddie Hearn and so forth down there.
Yeah. So I'd like to say thank you for watching, guys, and goodbye.